Fancy seeing you here. Hello and welcome back to Articulate with Steve McJones. I am Steve McJones, and I am, I'm back in Lebanon. It's kind of nice. Back in my hometown. We're on winter break right now, and it's just interesting because I have a new pick of people to choose from when I'm, deciding who to record with and whatnot. So, my friend Adam Ott goes to University of Cincinnati, and he is he's a really intelligent guy. I think he has a pretty unique background, I think, with his family, which is what we mostly talk about, and their involvement in the mob, which you'll find out in the episode. But he's also integrated with a lot of different types of people. He's a bouncer as well, so he meets a lot of people. And I just think he gives a unique perspective on things, and really cool guy. So I'm excited for you to hear what he has to say and like his background. It's actually really crazy to me that where he comes from and who he's related to. We get into it, and enjoy. So Adam, how do you didgeridoo?
I didgeridoo okay.
Okay, that was me playing the didgeridoo on a wrapping paper tube. Anyways, we have Adam Ott here, ladies and gentlemen. Adam Ott.
What's up?
Welcome to the podcast, man.
I'm glad to be here.
We've talked about doing this for a while, which is pretty cool. I'm glad I'm finally back in Lebanon, so it's cool to be back. And
100%.
we can get this done, and maybe for when you come up for the fest, maybe we should do another one. Depends how this one goes, if you're good enough.
This is like a trial run.
Well, it's really, a trial run. Anyways, so I heard that you were in the mob.
Not quite, but pretty close.
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
What's the story behind that? Why? What is your involvement in the mob, Adam?
Well, my involvement is name base alone. So my family is what a lot of people would call mob adjacent, meaning that we're not in the mob, but parts of my family were related to the mob, and
mob
maybe
adjacent.
We're a little bit more involved.
So is there a mob parallel? Or would that just be in a different mob?
I think that would just be everyone else. Would be mob parallel, right?
Parallel. You're mob adjacent.
Mob adjacent, and then
Yeah.
Okay. So my uncle, named Dan Ott, used to live in Youngstown, and he got kind of involved. I guess there was pockets of the mob there. That's where they had a lot of their chop shops for cars. So my uncle volunteered.
In Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio.
Yes, Youngstown, Ohio.
See, I never even knew that about Youngstown, dude. I didn't know there was even mob in Ohio. I always just thought it was a New York homeland.
Yeah, no, Youngstown's kind of crazy, and to my knowledge, Youngstown is still kind of crazy. I don't know. I haven't been there in a while.
Huh.
I don't know if the mob's still there or not. I know they were in the 70s. Let's put it that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So he came from, I don't know, I guess you could say rough beginnings, so he learned how to steal cars at a young age. And
that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah. And he got
Talk about hood rat shit with your friends.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And he was smart, so he got his pilot's license, which was,
really?
that can't be easy, right?
Yeah,
so,
when you're stealing cars.
100%. He's crafty, at least.
Yeah.
So I guess he, eventually met up with some guys that got him connected with mob members, and they were like, hey, you steal us cars, specifically Corvettes, bring them to the chop shops, we'll pay you a lot of money, and you don't even got to worry about it, it's just cash.
Mob mentality.
Yeah.
It's pretty strong stuff there.
But they're like, yeah, it's just cash, you don't got to worry about it, we'll take care of you. And so he started stealing cars, and throughout his career, it was 1,000 cars,
Ooh.
4 planes.
And if I recall, you just researched this. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Yeah. I looked it up to get the numbers exact instead of saying a lot of cars.
Oh yeah, a whole bunch. He stole a lot.
But it was over 1,000, 4 planes, heavy equipment. So Caterpillars, construction equipment. I know there was some RVs, some mobile homes.
Really?
And he would just bring them there. They chop them up, sell the parts, and as far as I know, this dude was just rolling in money. You know what I mean?
So was he the one doing the actual acts of stealing them?
Yes.
And you said planes too?
Yes. Because he had his pilot's license.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you steal a plane without anybody noticing?
See, I don't know, because they're personal planes.
Oh, yeah.
So if I had a personal plane,
yeah, I would know.
I'm keeping it like in my backyard.
Right.
I'm like making sure.
Yeah, but then if it's in your backyard, then that's where it's probably easiest to steal. If it was at like a hangar.
That's a good point.
You know, yeah.
Under lock and key.
Yeah, exactly.
But so, you know, I don't want to make my uncle out to be too bad of a guy. He served a lot of time in prison. He bounced around prison to prison, you know. Yeah, you know, and he ended up in a penitentiary.
He stole me a car. That's fine.
So, like, they got him.
Yeah.
But he spent some time out in L.A. during the time that, like, the Hells Angels motorcycle gang was, like, a big deal. Like, when they were actually scary.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, to my
Hells Angels, I don't really know that much about them.
Yeah.
Like, that was in L.A., so they were obviously pretty big. And it was still a big city back then.
Yeah.
Okay. And they would just ride around and just, like, fuck with people?
I think it was similar to, like, a normal kind of gang. I mean, I know they had, like, shootouts. I know they robbed people. I mean, it
Rumbles.
wasn't like, barroom brawls.
Do it for John.
Yeah. I don't think they were great people. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Fair.
And so, just as far as I suppose gang code would go, you could never, ever, ever wear something that represents yourself of that gang and then not be in it.
Right, like like Crips and Bloods, you know, like if you wear red down in Cincy.
Yeah, if you're not in the Bloods and you say you're in the Bloods, you're probably gonna have some problems with actual.
You're gonna
Bloods.
Be Blood,
and then you're like 6'9", and then you got to be a rat.
Then you got to be a rat, and that's another rule. You just have to. One rule broken leads to other broken rules.
Oh, 100%.
Sad story.
100%.
And broken hearts. Anyway.
But so he's hanging out in a bar, and this guy walks up, and he's wearing his Hells Angels stuff, and I guess they talk for a couple minutes, but it wasn't really extensive, and he walks out of the bar, and my uncle stays. A couple minutes later, some real big dudes, actual Hells Angels, come in, and they're like, hey, have you seen anybody in here wearing our stuff? And my uncle goes, well, I'm not 100% sure. Well, if I remember, you know, maybe something could help me. Remember? So they slide him some money and.
Oh, really?
You know,
Smart guy. At least he's getting something out of it.
You know, he's getting something out of it. Crafty, like you said earlier.
Right.
So then he tells him which way he went and didn't think much else about it. I guess he leaves the bar a little bit later, and dude was having a time of it in the back alley with the two actual Hells Angels. Yeah. So he doesn't know what happened to him after that. Like the fella that was wearing the stuff that he shouldn't have been wearing. Mm-hmm. But he didn't kill him necessarily. He just took the guys to him, I suppose. Yeah. Pointed him in the right direction.
He assisted.
Yes,
he set up the assist.
Assisted for sure. So, I guess with being involved in the mob, going in and out of jail, there was like some infighting going on, where eventually somebody straps a bomb to this rival carjacker, car chopper, whatever you want to call him, straps a bomb to the car. So when he turns the key in his ignition, his car explodes. So he's obviously mad.
Yeah.
He wants to get back at the guy.
He's
a little pissed.
Right.
And so he wants to get back at the guy that planted the bomb. So he reaches out to my uncle and he says, I'll give you, I think the total was like $15,000 or something like that, which not a lot of money. But he says, you knock this guy off.
Yeah, take care of him.
Yeah, I'll pay you. And so, according to my uncle, in his testimony, he said he never had any plans on killing the guy. He might have set him up with a contact to kill him, but like he wasn't going to personally kill him.
Again, with the assist.
Yeah, with the assist. He's a nice guy, apparently.
Yeah, obviously. Couldn't do it himself.
But his non-willingness to help, I guess, was enough to make the guy whose car blew up mad. Mm-hmm. So he puts out a hit on my uncle. Oof. So the problem with my uncle being named Dan Ott is that my father's name is also Dan Ott, and there's multiple Ott families in the Youngstown, Cleveland, Ohio area. Like northern Ohio, there's quite a few of them, and only one of them's mine. But there's multiple Dan Otts.
Yeah. Well, did your brother or your dad have a lot of brothers or sisters? Like
he had two brothers and one sister.
Oh, okay. So not too much.
This is actually my great uncle. I guess I should say. I've been saying uncle, but.
Okay, so how many like actual people, like Ott families, are probably related?
Probably related. As far as like the branch goes, there's just everybody has the last name. It's like a Johnson. You're not like related
Yeah.
to all the Johnsons. You just have the same last name.
Yeah.
I guess that's just the same thing with those pockets of like Polish and German heritage that all kind of melts in Cleveland. There was just multiple of them.
Just a whole bunch of
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he puts out a hit on my uncle, and two guys go to get my uncle Dan Ott. But they find the wrong Dan Ott, and they break into this dude's house. And I guess they don't listen to him, and I guess they were told to kill any witnesses, so they kill the guy, and they kill his wife. But they missed. They missed my uncle, so he flees.
Damn, so just some random guy.
Yeah, unfortunately, he got
Dude, that
caught.
guy, like, he just, by having that name.
Nah,
like,
man, just
like,
sleeping. He was sleeping, too.
oh, that's not a bad way to go out, you know.
Well, but they woke him up.
Oh.
So that's the worst way to go.
Yeah, that's the worst. Like, that actually, that'd be super scary.
You're mad you got woken up out of your sleep to begin with, and then he's got a shotgun.
And then you gotta die
and
after
you're
that?
like, God damn it, man.
Yeah.
The worst alarm clock.
Yeah.
But the whole time this is going on, he's getting thrown into jail for like little like petty things, but there was never any sort of an idea that this was such a large scale operation, and there was like legit, you know, like murder and gang violence going on, and it was all kind of surrounding my uncle. Even though he wasn't necessarily the ringleader, he certainly was't helping. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the FBI does a wiretap, and they hear him talking about certain illegal activities, and they're like, all right, you know, we'll keep an eye on this guy, it's just talk.
Yeah.
And then they do an audit, and they see that he has this huge house, and he's raising these thoroughbred horses, and he's living this life, and he has multiple Corvettes, and every time he's went to jail, his wife doesn't have a job, but they just still have money coming in, and they can't figure out where. And it's for his loyalty, and he never gave anyone up in the mob. That was one of the reasons that he went to the penitentiary, actually, at such an old age and for so long.
Yeah.
Was because he just refused to give people up, and for his loyalty, the mob just...
That's a bro. That's a bro right there.
I mean, yeah.
Ain't no snitch.
Some respect, if
Exactly.
if nowhere else, some respect on that, I suppose.
Yeah.
But the mob was just funding, you know, his wife's lifestyle, and they were like, you know, you don't say anything and everything, and you don't say anything, and everything will stay good.
Hey, you listen in. No, that's so. How does that involve your life though? Because when the Big Dan T thing happened.
Yeah, so when the big Dan
That's
Dan
from
T happened,
Oh Brother Where Art Thou? I don't know if you've ever seen that. But it's
a couple times.
couple of times. Anyways.
But when the big Dan T happens, my family with my dad, Dan Ott, it just so happened that we were both trying to leave Cleveland as a whole, just because the spot that we were living wasn't that great. Combined with the fact that all of a sudden it was kind of dangerous to be an Ott, much more a Dan Ott.
Yeah.
We moved, and so we moved to Maryland for a bit, and then Huber Heights, and then to Lebanon. And we stayed out of the city for a while, which was kind of tough because my grandpa lived in the Cleveland area. And it's not that we couldn't go up and see him necessarily. It was just these guys the guys that knocked off the wrong Dan Ott still had not been caught yet.
Ooh.
So there was still, I mean, these people were still alive that were putting out hits and stuff like
And
that.
some
So,
tension.
yeah, 100%. So it just wasn't the time, I suppose. But the two, I don't know what you want to call them, assassins? Murderers?
assassins.
I mean, assassins, I guess.
Makes it sound like
It does.
medieval, like
It really does.
they just scythed them or something.
But they were eventually arrested. So now it's cool to be in Cleveland. Now it's
Yeah.
fine. But
Where do you think that the bridge happens between assassin and like hitman?
I think it depends how you do it, I think,
How
and how
you-
professional you are about it.
Fair.
You know what I mean?
Like if you're like fancy and like
Yeah.
I guess if you're like an expensive hitman.
Yeah, like
Hitman?
if you're on top of a roof with like a sniper rifle, and you got somebody from like 18 football fields,
Yeah.
you're an assassin.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're walking up on somebody with a baseball bat, you're a hitman. You know?
Fair, yeah. It comes with the hit, you know.
Oh,
It's like-
100%.
Okay.
100%. And if you're wearing a suit while you're doing it, I feel like assassins have like
Assassins have suits or hitmen have suits? I feel
no,
like
hitmen have suits,
Yeah, that's
don't
what I'm
they?
thinking.
Yeah.
Assassins have like gear.
I don't know, like a hood, like a
Yeah.
cloak or something.
It's all black, you know, whatever it is,
Yeah,
it's all
100%.
black. Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, that's not awesome, but
That's
so
alright.
that's kind of fucked up. Like, do you think? I don't know. Do you think like tendencies with, I don't know, like morally, do you think that those kind of decisions maybe, not that you would turn out as a bad person or anything or try to do anything, but I mean, is there any other instances within the Ott family of criminal behavior or anything?
As far as like criminal behavior goes, I have a cousin who's my uncle Dan Ott, the thief, the notorious car thief.
Yeah.
His son apparently is still involved in organized crime,
Really?
possibly to a worse degree. I don't remember his name. I've never met him.
Probably for the
never
best.
seen him. Yeah, I have no idea what this guy does. That's just what I've been told from my father, and that would seem like where he wanted to drop the
To just
conversation.
drop it, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, "Hey, you got some bad family members. You know, don't talk to them, and you'll be all right."
Yeah, yeah. In all honesty, though, how cool would it be to be like the Godfather?
Oh, 100%. My uncle reached out to my family after he got out of the penitentiary.
Really?
He was living in Michigan.
Is he out now?
Yeah, he's out currently, and to my knowledge, still alive. I haven't gotten word that he's died yet, but I've only met him once.
Yeah.
So I forget where I was going.
Well,
with
we
this.
were just talking. I was like, wouldn't it be cool to be like a
Yeah.
No, that's all right.
Yeah, no, it's cool. But he reached out to my family, and my mom answered the phone accidentally, and then hung up, and then blocked the number. So I have no idea what he's doing either.
Oh.
He could be dead. I have no idea.
Fair enough.
Personally.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's crazy that there's still. It definitely sounds like there's still. I mean, I know he was in the penitentiary for how much longer, but like you said, your cousin is in the mob kind of right now as well. Like, I didn't even know there was still stuff like that going on, you know?
Really, I didn't either, but I guess it runs in the family, at least that little branch of the family.
There's
so
only the Otts left doing mob work out there anymore.
They keep finding ways, I guess, just moving with the times.
How do you think mobs tie in with, like, I mean, there's different types of gangs, right? So, like,
Sure.
you know, inner city gangs, like Bloods or Crips or whatever, West Side kind of thing. Like, how do you think that ties in? Do you think they acknowledge each other? Do you think they're in a similar business? And also on top of that, like, bigger, like Colombian drug dealers or, like, you know, a Mexican? I don't know. I don't know where else. I don't know where else drug dealers come from, but I'm for sure about Colombia.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how active the mob is anymore. I'm aware that they still have some chop shops around. Like, I'm pretty sure Youngstown still has some of those remnants. I mean, I don't see, it wasn't that long ago that all this happened. So
Right.
I would assume that there's something going on in Youngstown. So I think they stick mostly to the business of, like, stealing, chopping cars, and then moving drugs. Because that was why my uncle stole the personal planes. He would sell them to people who wanted to move drugs across borders and wanted to do it, you know, without anyone being aware.
There's the tie, yeah.
Yeah. Bit. So lots of cocaine and weed, and
Right.
pretty much anything else you can.
But yeah. I just find it interesting that, you know, I mean, I've only seen The Godfather, so this is me like basing everything off of that. But like, it seemed like the mob especially has a lot of pull in, like, not like the government kind of, but just bigger players in the game kind of thing. And it seems like almost the opposite of, like, the gangs, you know, like just like inner city gangs, because there's not like anything controlling them. They're just raised to be like that, you know.
Yeah.
It's almost like a hooligan type shenanigans that ends in, like, murders, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's weird how two separate backgrounds like that kind of form something similar, you know.
It's kind of one of those things where you think if they spoke to one another or didn't have a prior prejudice, they'd realize how similar their situations are.
Right.
And could, I don't know, maybe even help each other out. But it's one of those things that it just seems like there's never a connect for one reason or another. But the mob thing's interesting with, like, the Irishman just coming out and how supposedly JFK was put in office. They really pushed that narrative hard.
Oh, I haven't seen The Irishman.
Oh, well, you'll have to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard. It's like 3.5 hours, dude. I gotta take
really
like
long.
a day.
You gotta stop halfway and, like,
That's what everybody says. Is like,
get
you
a
gotta
drink.
take just a sip of water or two.
something.
Yeah, something to get you through that. But we actually talked about that on Logan Marshall's podcast.
Sweet.
About how, like, that's Martin Scorsese's, like, newest film, right? And how it's almost like people called him out for, like, selling out to Netflix or whatever, when in reality nobody else would pick it up because it was such a long movie. They said nobody would want to watch it. They wouldn't want to release it in theaters. So he just went to Netflix with it because and like streaming sites are like the new thing.
Oh yeah.
But that doesn't really tie into the mob or anything. I just thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That Martin Scorsese, of all names, with all the big actors like De Niro is in it and everything. Well, that's an interesting avenue. Maybe. Do you think like Al Pacino and like even Robert De Niro, they portray all these like Italian mobsters?
Yeah.
Do you think they probably have like met some people?
100%.
Yeah.
There's no way that they haven't gotten some coaching from somebody. You know what I mean? They showed up to a loan shark's office and and just talked with him for a little bit.
Yeah,
There's no way.
Need to get some background on it.
Yeah, it's pretty close, but like my family specifically, nothing to do with like the ethnic side. That's why we're considered mob adjacent, because my family couldn't be not Italian.
They just want to do criminal shit.
Yeah, they're just like down for the hooligan shit.
Not for like the whole respect thing.
Yeah, they're not so much. I suppose.
Yeah. So where do you think like mobs? You said it's like kind of dying out in Ohio. Do you think it's dying out in general? Like even in New York, or like do you think that'll stay strong for at least until like America dies?
I think as long as you can pinpoint certain areas where these long-standing families have been in these areas for years and years and years, and it's all tied together in a different way. It's like a Little Italy kind of thing in Cleveland. It's not like there's mobsters in Little Italy, but it was a pocket where a lot of Italian immigrants settled,
right?
And they kind of brought in their own ways, and in the same way that the black communities are devastated by violence against one another. I mean, in a lot of ways, the same thing was perpetuated against a lot of those immigrants who were just trying to find a place to settle. So, in my opinion, as long as you have these pockets of these long-standing, powerful families, there's going to be something.
Or these
going
corrupted
on.
like food deserts and stuff like
100%.
that.
As long as there's a need, or not a need, but a necessity, I suppose, for that kind of way of life, I don't see it disappearing fully.
Do you have any ideas on how to get rid of this? Because I know we've talked about this before.
We have.
And you've come up with some pretty good ideas, I think.
As far as not so much mob related, I guess it would be just inner city ghetto and poverty, just in general. I personally am going to college to be a teacher, a history teacher specifically.
Nerd.
And I've done some volunteer work in some of the inner city schools around UC, and I personally think that education is the way to go. You can't tell somebody who has nothing to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. That's something that I hear so much, especially in our current political landscape.
Yeah.
With everything being so polarized, how can you tell someone to if you don't own boots, how can you pull up your own bootstraps?
Right.
And it's not an easy problem to fix, but there has to be a certain level of understanding of how to build wealth and how to get yourself ahead and sustain that wealth. But the problem is it's so hard because there's not
even anything to start with.
Yes, there's nothing to start with, so it's hard to tell your kids to go to a nice school when you can't afford it, and there's a dress code, and you're so far away from the school, and no buses come through your neighborhood because the bus maps are based off of what banks consider high-risk areas. So if you live in a high-risk area, you might not even get a metro stop. And then it's like how you can't afford a car, there's no buses coming through, and then you tell those same people to go get a job. It's like there's no jobs. It's all been gentrified. You've pushed these people out of where they did have jobs and they did have local-owned businesses and they had their own community, and you decided to put a stadium there. So, in my opinion, it's got to be education, and you have to get a greater voice for those people in local politics.
Right.
Everyone's so focused on this upcoming election, and it's important, don't get me wrong, everybody needs to turn out to vote.
But think more people need to pay attention to local politics?
Yes, local politics is where your vote really matters.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's where you can make significant change in your community. And if you're not brought up with a educational background that pushes you to succeed and to dream for more and get involved and you can change the world, then you're just creating an endless cycle of poverty and
Shit.
and that's what drives people to this gang violence. It's not like they're bad people. It's what else are you supposed to do?
Dave Chappelle has this bit where he's like talking to his dad and he's just like pissed off because he's like, it's so cold and like, you know, his dad's like, we'll put on some clothes, and he's like, I have all 3 of my outfits on, Dad. But he's just like, I fucking hate being poor. He like says that kind of in front of his dad but not to him, and then his dad is like, son, look at me. Listen, poor is a mentality, and it will get you nowhere in life. And you are not poor. You are broke. He's just like,
That's funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God, but it's true.
It's true, yeah,
100%.
exactly.
100%.
So, I mean, I think that's something that needs to be integrated. Like, that's a good dad, you know, right? That,
yes.
Like, even though they are poor or broke, I guess,
yes.
they, you know, he still finds a way to at least support his son kind of thing and, like, mentally kind of stimulate him for, you know, set him up for a better life than just accepting that, like you said, like gentrified kind of lifestyle and like food desert type of thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that needs to be like, and I'm not saying there are a lot of bad parents out there, but when you're a gang member that's a dad, you know, it's like, it's already hard, you know, you want to keep your family safe in the first place, so you kind of just run away, but it's just crazy how you gotta have that good mindset to teach.
That's what
like
a lot
you said,
of it
it's
is,
almost in teaching as well.
Yeah, that's what a lot of it's driven by. It's just survival instincts. You're trying to provide for yourself and your family, hopefully. And you know, when you're a teacher and you come out of school, the government will offer to absolve you of your student loans if you go to teach in these high risk schools or high need schools, I suppose, which are normally in high risk areas.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a great deal, and it sounds like where you can make some real impact, and I personally am supportive of that, but you'll get educators in the field who will tell you not to do it and just pay your student loans because the schools are just so bad and so underfunded, and it's, I don't know, it's really sad.
It is really sad.
It's really sad.
And it's weird because, I mean, to relate it back, it's almost like the opposite of the mob, now that we've kind of, like, gotten into
Full
it.
circle.
Yeah, it's like they don't, like, the mob is, like, so, like, so the gang members, like, in the inner cities are kind of so tied together because of the shit that they have been through and kind of, like, how they can't get out of it. Whereas the mob, it's still, you can't get out of it, but it's just this, like, more attractive lifestyle of 100%. Like, because, you know, they actually have power and like free reign within the cities and everything. And it's like you said, it's like it's like almost similar, except one is like actually able to kind of blend in with the with the community around them, whereas the other, like you said, they're labeled like high risk or whatever.
And it's I think it's a lot to do with just the family structure as a whole. If you're talking about from like a cultural thing, like Italian families are known for being huge. That's kind of the point.
True.
So this is like, these are your family members. These are people you grew up with. These are the people that you
have to
you
trust.
ride for, exactly.
Yeah.
So you have a greater network as a whole than being a black child to a single mother in a project home. You don't have any sort of a support group at that point. You're kind of left up to your own devices, and that's when you kind of find yourself in trouble.
And you gotta pull your bootstraps up
if you can even afford those boots.
Yeah, if you can afford them, man. That's rough, man. But I mean, I'm glad that, I don't know, do you think it's affected like your life at all, just hearing and knowing that you're related to this person at all?
It used to scare my mom for a long time, just because she worries a lot. Yeah. But for me,
as moms do.
As moms do.
Yeah.
But for me personally, other than, you know, some awkward tension at family functions, whenever those do happen, if the name's ever brought up, people can get kind of funny. And then it wasn't until I was older that I figured out why. But overall, no, I haven't had any mobsters calling me or anything like that. But maybe that's what they want me to say. So.
Yeah, fair enough. It's just like, there's actually a gun right behind your head right now.
Your van's not outside.
Yeah, it's gone. It's completely gone. Well, yeah, I just, like I said, this is like completely new to me. Like I haven't like talked to anybody who has like any involvement or like even really reads up on that sort of stuff anymore. And kind of like I know that like I said, like The Godfather is a big film, and I know it's a good portrayal of you know, that line of crime.
Yeah, at the height of it, for sure.
The height of it, for sure. But, like, I don't, you know, being in Ohio, you're just so separated from everything.
Yeah, you feel so distant. You think it's like New York.
Yeah.
Or I mean, even L.A., apparently, with the Hells Angels or something
yeah.
like that. And you just, it's not. Youngstown, not that far away.
Not that far away. Yeah, and it's crazy, especially now, like, the heroin epidemic, dude.
Oh, 100%.
Within Ohio. Like, whoa. Like, I feel like that just kind of came out of nowhere. Like, within these past, like, 3 years. And it's because, not because it did come out of nowhere, but it's because they kept it, like, hidden for so long, you know? It's, like, it's just crazy to me that there's, like, these massive, like, cover-ups that nobody even, like, talks about or acknowledges, really.
Living in the information age brings a lot of these things to light, I think. But in another way, it's kind of strange that we don't know more about these things as they go on.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to find out, but it's not pushed. It's not it's not headline grabbing, I suppose.
Yeah, clickbait. It's not clickbait.
It's not clickbait until it's so huge that it's clickbait.
That
and
it's
it's
clickbait.
Kind of too late.
It's kind of the same way with global warming.
Yeah, it's the exact same way with global warming.
If it's not clickbait, you know, if the Amazon fires didn't happen, you know, you don't want to know about the Amazon. You know, come on.
You just don't want to think about it. We'd rather think about something
exactly. And what's the crazy thing is that all these, like, social networks are just designed to make you think you're connecting with a lot of people when really you're just seeing the same, like, 300 people retweet and, like, talk about the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So you're really just in the same community.
It's similar interests to yourself, which is kind of a problem just because you could have, like, a cycling of ideas where you don't really grow necessarily.
Exactly. You don't have any new thoughts going in through your input and output like, throughout your life.
Yeah.
And that fucking sucks. But if you're a smart person, you can find ways to get new perspectives, like have Adam on your podcast. Or, talk about mobsters that you don't know about.
Yeah. Has this been a downer episode?
It's been a little bit of a downer. Yeah, I'm trying to lighten it up a little bit.
That's my bad.
No, I mean, it's a tough subject. It's a rough one. But, you know, it's like I said, it's been informative. I think that's what I really want to go for a lot of the time. I do want to keep it kind of lighthearted. But, you know, we've had some little chuckles here.
Some yucks.
Some yucks. yeah. But I don't know, man. It's like... It's one of those, you ever have those conversations where you just end up and the end of the conversation is where all you can go is like, well, the world's going to shit, so that's where that goes, you know? It's
and then, you know, you look at, I don't know, pictures of puppies.
Pictures of puppies or something.
It's almost Christmas.
yeah, exactly.
Listen to Bing Crosby or something. I don't
know. You just have to, like, focus on the lights and then kind of deal with it and to, like, as it affects you. And, I mean, obviously you have to be forward-looking in a way, but, like, to remain in a mental stability, a place of mental stability, I think it's best to just, and maybe that's why people like, you know, looking at their own community and kind of integrating that stuff in their own. But, I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if there's, like, a full solution. Like I said, you can't always end on a happy note. Yeah,
the solution's tough and it's long, but there's always good things in the world. It's not totally bleak. Yeah. There is nice things. Mountains are nice.
What are?
Mountains.
The
smell after a rain. That's nice.
The smell after a rain. You know? Good old freshly mowed lawn.
100%. When the leaves are just turning, you know what I mean? As you're entering into fall.
Wow. Yeah, that's a specific one.
It's really nice, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a nice
100%.
Thought. All right, man. I think it's a good place to wrap up. I don't know if you have anything else you want to, like, recommend or, like, shout out or, you know, whatever, if you have any plugs.
Well, I don't know. I'll plug what I think is the best album.
The best album?
That came out this year.
Like that.
Just throw it on top.
End of the decade, why not? It's just some music recommendations. Yeah, this man, actually, his music taste is insane. He listens to so much music.
I think I'm all right.
I'm all right. Yeah.
But in my opinion, best record to come out in 2019. If you're a fan of, like, pretty much rock, but, like, specifically punk, this Canadian punk band, Pup, so P-U-P.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they came out with an album called Morbid Stuff.
Yeah, Scorpion Hill, dude.
Yeah. It's like, you know, it has slower parts, it has harder parts, it makes some real funny, like, tongue-in-cheek kind of commentary on, like, relationships and the world around, and it's kind of angsty, but the lead singers talk kind of kind of rhythm. I don't know. There's something
it's
really
like
great
his
about
energy behind it, I think.
Yeah, and it's kind of accessible. If you're not a huge fan of like punk, if you're thinking like I don't know, some real screaming stuff, that's not what it is.
It's
it's
just kind of grittier. Like rock.
There's a little bit of edge to it, but it's not bad. I think most people could find at least one song they like.
Yeah, definitely. I did. Yeah, Scorpion Hill
100%.
And Full Blown Meltdown. I really like that song.
Full Blown Meltdown.
That's just like that one's hard, but like it's like a good hard. I think so.
Knock your socks off.
But yeah, dude, that's a good way to wrap her up. I think. Yeah. Cool. All right, man. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gents, that was Adamat. And again, really fun guy. But, you know, we talked about the relationship between mobs and gangs. And what it really comes down to is just the drugs. And that really got me thinking that, you know, drugs is a big connecting factor for not only gangs, but people as well. And, you know, could be viewed as bad, could be viewed as good. Just a fact that I'm throwing out there. And, there's just something to think about, I guess. I don't know. Thanks for listening. Okay, bye.